Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and part 7 of the Plastic Models for Beginners Tamiya 1/35 scale Panzer Kampfwagen 38T. So in the last video we left off with finishing steps 17 through 21, which was the turret. And some of the parts we've left off because they are not going to be painted until they're not going to be assembled until after paint. So in this one, we're going to start with paint on the inside of the turret so I can get that put together and it'll be ready for exterior paint. So to paint the interior stuff, I'm using Tamiya XF2. Now normally I prime stuff first, but in this case, since it is just to give some color and some detail inside, since the hatch is going to be open with the commander sitting in it, I'm not going to prime, I'm just going to paint. So let me get some paint mixed up, and basically what I do is using my single action Iwata HPM2, I'm just going to put 5 drops of X20A thinner. Now I'm going to take my XF2 and steer it up, little darling, steer it up. I use these handy Tamiya paint mixer stick things. They're really cool. Alright, so we got that mixed up. Then using this little thing here, I'm going to drop 5 drops into my color cup. I'm not going to show it on video because it's over here out of the way. And it will give about a 50-50 mix. Now hopefully that'll be enough. Not, then I can mix some more up really quick. That's the nice thing about Tamiya paint. Now I'm only going to be painting the stuff that's going to be visible, so I'm not going to be painting all underneath the gun and all that kind of stuff because, you know, there's no sense in it. And I'm a frugal dude like that. So first I'm going to blow the first little bit of thinner out. So here's what we're going to do. Spray this here. Okay, the next thing I need to do is paint the stuff that needs to be black. For instance, I need to paint this eyepiece here black, and I need to paint this periscope black. So for that, I'm going to be using Vallejo Model Air because it's good to paint right out of the bottle. No thinning necessary. Can't get it to work worth a hoot out of an airbrush, but it sprays wonderfully. Or sprays wonderfully, I just said it didn't spray. Brush paints wonderfully. And any chuckling you may hear from the peanut gallery is my lovely wife, with whom I share this office / craft room. So let's drop a little bit of this paint right here like that, and begin. Alright, the next thing I need to paint is the breech block and the machine gun on the inside. For that, I'm going to use, calls for steel color, So I'm going to use the Vallejo acrylic metal color, airbrush color, steel. Another jolly good paint. I'm using my special metallics only paintbrush to do it. Okay, with that stuff glued on there, now I can glue the top on and the front. And I'm going to glue the top first and then glue the bottom. Or the front, sorry. Okay, so since I have room, I'm going to glue it from the inside. Like this. And this. Glue, gonna have to crack open the new bottle by Gumbo. Okay, that should be good right there. Thanks. All right, so now I can peel my tape off like thusly. And glue this here like that. I gotta say, there's nothing like a Tamiya model that fits together correctly. It's swinging. So let me get some clamps here because I want to make sure this is really seated on here well. Just give a little squeeze like that. And squeeze like that. Oh. And let it dry. So while that's drying, I can cut off D23, which is a little grab handle that goes here, and the commander's hatch, and finish off the D-sprue. Okay, so now it's time to glue this little piece on. And there's two little pins that fit in those holes right there. So put a little bit of cement there, and then once I get in place, put some more, just make sure it's gonna stay on there. Just a little bit more. Like that. And then I'm gonna glue the hatch on here because I'm going to glue the hatch on here because I'm going to have it open and I want to paint it all at once. So first I need to remove this ejector pin mark here. pretty shallow, so I can just sand it off like that. All right, that's sanded off. So let's glue this in place here. So I'm going to hold it here, hopefully. Put the cement on there like that. Yeah, there's a little stop underneath there. So I'm going to utilize that to make sure I have a really good glue joint. So there we go. So that is the completion of the turret. Let's see what it looks like in situ. Oh, look at that. Swinging. All right, so with that, we are ready to start priming. All right, so I'm ready to start priming this stuff. So here's what I'm using. I am using Ammo one-shot primer. Why, you may ask, is it not in the appropriate bottle? Well, because I hate the lids, because they leak really bad after a while. For me, anyway. So I use these. I got these for I got some of these bottles from Model Paint Solutions, and they're great. When you order these bottles, I ordered I think a 4-pack. He sends you a little bag of stainless steel ball bearings to put in the bottle. It's just really cool. So anyway, here we go. So get my paint ready. And I'm using, you may be wondering why I'm squirting it in this bottle here, but that's because I am using my single action Iwata SAR airbrush, and it is a siphon feed. So let's see, crank my pressure up just a little bit to about to about 18, and begin. All right, that's it. So now all I gotta do is clean the primer out of my airbrush, and once this dries, we can start painting. All right, now that all of the primer has dried, I'm going to start painting. And to paint, I'm going to be using Mr. Hobby Aqueous H32 flat field gray. It says German tank right there. So what you'll want to, you'll probably notice here is it's quite a dark gray. From stuff I've read, the grays on German tanks back in the olden days German gray was quite dark. So that's what I'm starting with as the base for my paint. we'll see what it looks like, because I am going to lighten it up. It's so dark, it's almost black. All right, I got the airbrush all cleaned up, and here is the first layer, and it is quite a dark gray. So what this is going to do is it's going to serve as a good quote-unquote shadow coat, because what I plan on doing is I'm going to mix some flat white in with this field gray and lighten it up just a little bit and start hitting some highlights, upper surfaces, stuff like that. Just to make it not quite so dark, and this will serve as more of shadows, you know, underneath. I'll probably leave this underneath, and I'll just focus on working on the upper surfaces. Okay, so here is everything after it has been assembled up to this point, which is like this fitting here, the control stick, these side consoles with levers and such on it, the two little handles, I think they're gun charging handles, in the instrument panel, and then the decal installed. Now, real quick, I'll tell you how this works. Is this instrument panel comes clear, and basically what I did is I glued the parts in, stuck it to my tape, you can see the outline there, sprayed it black after I used some little teeny tiny these right here. They are masks I got from Model Paint Solutions, and you can see here they come in they have 3 different sheets, small, medium, and large. And I think this is the small, and you can see how small, hopefully, these are. And I used those to mask off the dials from the front so they stayed clear. In the decal, you have 2 decals you can use. You can either use one that you put on the front and just let it, you know, use some microset, microsol to get it to melt down in there, or you can use another one that when you look at it, they're just black circles, and what it is it's upside down, so the sticky side is down, which means you stick it like this and you have the dials facing, the dial print facing up, and it looks really cool. Now once I get it in the cockpit, you may not be able to see it, but it is really neat looking here. So with all that done and the detail painting and some light washes done, I can do a little bit more. I did a little bit of sponge chipping along the seat here. I put the seatbelt decal in here, and I'll do a little bit of dry brushing to highlight some stuff, and then I'll dirty up the floor area of the cockpit itself, and it'll be ready to glue together, and I'll come back after I actually do that. All right, using my circle cutter, I have created some masks. So now I can mix up a lighter color or a lighter shade of the gray to start spraying the high parts and the hubs and stuff like that and get some of this stuff lightened up. Okay, so I've got a lighter gray mixed up, and it's aqueous H32, aqueous H11, and the Hobby Color Thinner 400. So basically, one part of each of the colors, 2 parts of the thinner. So I'm going to start spraying the highlight type stuff. Alright, so there it is. And the nice thing about doing it like this is doing this kind of, I don't know, I guess it'd be called modulation. It's kind of, but I'm not trying to go for the usual modulation type look. I'm just trying to lighten the color overall, yet while leaving the darker tones in the recesses, stuff like that. So I like the color that aqueous gave me, mixing those 2 colors. The nice thing is, it takes very, very little paint to do this. So I've got all that. Here's the turret. Kind of digging it. So let that dry for a little bit, and then we can get on to the next part. Okay, so now that I've got the paint where I want, the next thing is to do the decals. But before I do the decals, I want to prep the surface for them. Now, I know it's not absolutely necessary to do a clear for the decals. However, I like doing it. But I'm going to do it a little bit different this time. I am going to I'm just going to clear coat where the decal is going to go and not the rest of the kit. So let us take a look at that. Okay, so I've got a little bit of clear mixed up. Test it on the bottom here. Whoa, got to get that. Make sure I've got all the thinner out. Okay, that should be good. So I need to look at the placement where the decal is going to go. So we've got just in front of this return roller here. So like that. Same on the other side. And then we've got on the back, stuck my finger right in it, folks. That's brilliant. So I'm gonna have to sand that down. Wonderful. Right here, like that. Nothing on the front. Wow, that was brilliant. And then on the turret side, both sides. Like that. Now when it dries, the color should turn back. Shouldn't be so dark, but right now that's the way it's going to look. Alright, now that I've got the clear on there, I can start doing some decals. So let me get my stuff out here. I've got my water. I've got my microset and Sol. Got my decal tweezers, my knife, and that should be good. So let us begin. First, I'm going to do the decal on the side here, which is we got 3 number 3s, so I'm going to cut those out. Like thusly. And then I'm going to put them all in the water. This and let them soak up a little bit. All right, so let us put some microset on here. One drawback of putting on a glossy surface is it really puddles up. So what I want to try and do is get it as centered as possible using the bottom edge of that lid there. Get it in position so I don't have to move it around. And it's not quite centered, but there we go. That did it. Okay. So now use this, make sure everything's smashed out from underneath so I don't get any air bubbles, and voila. So let's do the same to the back here. So I can do it without dropping in the water. Of course, I guess there's worse places we could drop it. Okay. Same thing. Get it as straight as I can. That is pretty stinking close, so let's just right there. Excellent. Like that. And that. So let's put some microsol on there to make sure they snuggle in good. There's not any detail to speak of, but it does help it really. There is one bolt hole there or whatever it is, so we want that to, so we're looking good. All right, so that's the turret, or the hull. Now we can do the turret. Now on these are like numbered 1 and that's number 2. The difference is the 2 is styled a little bit different. So this is the one that goes on the back, so you want to pay attention to that. So, as you can see here, I forgot that there was a decal on the back. However, so I'm just going to leave it. But as you can see, the micro set goes a lot better on a flat surface. But we'll see if it is easier to move around. Therein lies the trick. So let's see if I can get this thing to go on here straightly. Look at that. Nice and straight. So let's see if I can. Okay, that's lined up pretty good. Digging it. Try and get as much of the micro set out as possible. Take my other decals out of the water before I forget them. Like that. And then use this here cotton swab. See, you know, it's not really necessary to gloss this stuff. If you got a good paint job on here, I think you're good to go. And I got a pretty nice paint job on here. However, I'm committed. Let's learn together, folks, shall we? That's what we're here for. To learn how to build models. Okay, so let's get some. Let's try and get this positioned as closely as possible. And so it's going to go right about there. Like that. Wow, that went on there really nice. Again, push out as much of the fluid as possible. Like this. And then, same thing, use the cotton swab. Make sure it's pushed down really flat. Quick note on this paint that I used, the aqueous, it works really, really good. It gives a really nice finish. I am so far really impressed and stoked with it. That. Pull this one down just a little bit right here. Get it level in relation to the rivets. Then use the brush. Push any excess setting solution out like that. Cotton swab, make sure it's pressed down really well. There we go. So now we can put the micro sol on to make sure everything's all settled in good. Like that. See, that went on there great without a gloss. So just for future reference, I'm probably not going to be doing much gloss. before decals. Might do it after just to make weathering a little easier, but you know, we'll see. So there we go, decals on. So with the decals on, we can call this part, which is part 7, done. So when we come back next time, we're going to spray a clear coat on it and get it ready. Actually, we're going to do some detail painting, then spray clear coat on it and start getting ready to weather. So thanks for joining me here. Plastic Models for Beginners and the Tamiya 1/35 scale Panzer Kampfwagen 38T. As always, if you have any questions, comments, hints, or tips, anything like that, put them in the comments section down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So until next time for part 8, I will see you all later.